we should at least put it in the stream here real
No,
fast.
you never
Or at
know
least
who's
put it
gonna
in
show up.
the we put it in the good old Slack. Gotten away from our
Our
live
roots.
our roots here. Like, what should the penalty be? Coté said he was going to make it. He confirmed. I double confirmed with him. What penalty should we assign Coté? Is it just too late? Should we just
I
give
don't
him
know.
like? Is it because it's so late? Should we give him a free pass? Be like, life happens, or is it like, no, man, you didn't do your job? Like,
I feel glad I woke up. It
Joe,
was
I
hard.
don't know.
It was hard to wake up. So then I was like, well, maybe they'll go on without me.
For the listeners, I guess that's a good question. We'll do a poll. This is just a YouTube thing. It's like, would you rather get up at 6 a.m. and record a podcast, or stay up till, hold on, get the clock here. What time is it, Matt?
I thought we were starting at 10 his time.
Let's look at the official time.
They're both like
10,
annoying
yeah.
times.
So would you rather I think staying up to 10 is the easier of the two. Although I don't know, you're not a night person, right? You
unfortunately I'm both, right? So I've got 6 a.m. calls 3 days.
I know, but when we tried to record one time, like we put you in the night shift, you were just like immediately out. You're like, this is just too late, right? Whereas like mornings, you're usually like kind of grumpy a little bit when we talk about it, but then you do it. Whereas night, you're just like, I can't do it. You know, you're just like, I'm just done. That's my read. Am I incorrect? What's your take?
Well, definitely it's hard to wake up. It's hard to wake up early, but kind of once you're up and moving, the brain starts to kick in. But like end of the night, you
starts
know,
to wind down.
You just don't have the reserves. Yeah, you're
okay. All right. Well, this is what everyone needs to do then. Everyone in the YouTube and the comments of this, you can say if you're team Matt, that means you're team 6 a.m. And if you're team Coté, means you're team 10 p.m. And then I have the easy slot just because I guess in comparison to both of you, I'm kind of in the middle of the sundial, at least for this. So anyway, we hope Coté's okay. I'm sure he'll be back soon enough. Or he'll come in with some type of excuse that'll be an exciting story for us next time. All right, Matt, are you ready to officially start recording since we've wasted all this time now?
Well, I was just saying Twitch and Soft45 and YouTube are not streaming.
They're not streaming?
No.
Oh, what happened? Well, all right. Well, we'll just, we're just going to have to, really? Is it not?
I'm on both of them.
It says
both of them are offline.
All right, Matt. Well, we're just going with ourselves today then. The stream didn't work.
Wow. So, bold move. I'm going to miss the peanut gallery.
Yeah. That's, I don't know. Why is that? That's not working. All right. Anyway, we'll do it next time. All right. Ready?
Bill O'Reilly. Let's go.
Matt, you had quite the journey home from PCon. I enjoyed hearing the podcast with you and Coté last week, but we got a text, or rather a Slack message, kind of like midway back, that something to the effect of couldn't make it on the plane, spending the night in the hotel. So give us the play-by-play. What happened, and where exactly were you, quote unquote, stranded on your return?
Well, I'll save the listeners the gory details. Let's just say I had food poisoning, and I got it the afternoon I was leaving KubeCon. I'm not going to disparage their food services, but it was their food services. Because I didn't need anything else. I'm not throwing my dark grocery store under the wagon or under the bus. I ate the same thing every day, 3 days in a row there, so that was fine. But I left the conference about 3:30, and headed to my hotel. I was feeling a little unsettled, and I was like, well, I'll just power through. Called the Uber, and it was over. I was lucky. I was lucky to make it in the Uber. That Uber driver, he did not give me the 1-star review. I did not do anything in his car. Well, I gave him a big tip. That worked out well. And then I checked into my flight and had a hard time getting from the counter to security, or to getting through there. I had to make a stop. And then I went up because I was I wasn't having it. So I went into security line, and I just couldn't make it. So
You couldn't
I
make it through
started.
the security line even?
I could not make it through the security line.
Okay, so you this is I'm curious. Okay, so you're basically like I got to bail out before I even get through security. Okay.
Absolutely.
All
It
right,
was
and
not
then
like I can't get on this plane. This is I can't wait in this stupid line that's going to take,
okay, I was gonna say you
10
didn't get to the
minutes.
point. I thought maybe you were in like the boarding area and you're like, I can't do it.
Uh-uh.
I can't get on. You're like, I
Uh-uh.
can't even get to the boarding area. All right.
Yeah, I could not be screened. Which of
Okay.
course, everybody looks at you really sideways if you're the guy who's like, I can't be screened. I got to get out of here, and you wander off.
Uh-huh.
So I wandered off. Tried to regain my energy. Never did. I went to talk to the very nice gentleman from Etihad. Uh, it's like I can't make this flight. You got take. So he walked me down to the luggage. This dude's getting a Christmas card for me because
Uh-huh.
like I just kind of sprawled out in the chairs. He found my bag
Right.
as it came down the carousel. He walked me to the Sheraton, the airport Sheraton, and
Uh-huh.
made sure I made it to my room. So
Really?
Etihad,
Wow.
5 stars, 6 stars, top customer service. I didn't get his name tag. I even tried to tip him, and he was like, "No, sir, no, this is
No, that was him not wanting to have anything that you have touched on him. That's what that was.
no,
That
he
was a
carried
self-defense move right
probably.
there. Was he
Um,
like, I'll carry your bags, don't touch them? Was he like, stay over there?
oh yeah,
That's
oh
how I
yeah.
would have been.
No, he was like, you take care, you just walk. He carried my bag. He rolled my bag. The dude was
Five
again
stars, like you said, 5 stars.
6 stars.
Right. And then
That
so
deli-
what did you do? So you got to the like did you already cancel your flight at this point? Like
Oh
what
yeah,
did
yeah,
you
yeah.
do
Yeah.
next? So,
I canceled my flight, and
well, let's pause there for a second. Can you go up and be like, I am deathly ill. I can't get on this plane. Will you
oh, yeah.
rebook me on a flight? Will they, or is that like incur a lot of fees? Or were they like, I don't think
It,
you're really sick? Was there like some kind of medical test by the
it's
gate agent?
I paid the missed flight fee.
Okay.
So depending on your ticket, you're gonna pay something for that. But
Mm,
the next day they rebooked me, no additional charges other than the missed fee, the missed flight. Um, but and of course paying for the hotel. But yeah, and then of course I given my brothers, I would have spent 2 nights at the hotel, but I checked out at noon for a 10:30 p.m. flight and
uh-huh.
just kind of sprawled out in chairs waiting
So you almost
for the
got like a whole
Etihad.
nother day just of
Uh-huh.
like okay, interesting. And then
And
how long was the return flight that you were on? Like what was the total?
the story is too epic.
Huh?
First of all, it took me like I checked out at noon for a 10:30 p.m. flight.
Uh-huh.
And the Etihad counter didn't open till 6.
Okay.
So I
Oh wow.
literally spent like 6 hours outside the gate or outside
Oh,
the check-in, just kind of sprawled out in chairs, looking for places to recuperate.
uh-huh.
Um, and of course, I had to buy additional clothes because I had packed very efficiently. I had no spare clothes, so
Right.
I got to shop at Coté's favorite Hema, which I guess is
Nice.
like the Netherlands Kmart or something. So I got myself some sweatpants and some fresh clothes for the flight, so I'd look snazzy for all my co-travelers. Anyway, finally get through. I get to spend a little time in the lounge and get on that flight. I don't remember that flight, uh, but then Abu Dhabi, my
That's
layover.
like 7 hours. I mean, it's long, right? When you say you don't remember, it's a pretty long flight, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay. You just like I'm gonna say it's like 6, 7 hours. You just do not remember. Get to where is it now? Abu Dhabi? Is that
Abu
where you
Dhabi.
okay.
But because of the cancellation, my
Mhm.
connection was not available when I rebooked.
Right.
So I now had a 16 and a half hour layover. Um, so pro tip, airport hotels are usually pretty reasonable. Not the Sheraton, but like once you're through the gate, and
Right.
so they had a pay as you go hotel. So I did 10 hours there.
Uh-huh.
So 10 hours at there and then like 4 hours in the lounge. So it worked out okay.
And then you got the second flight home.
which was another 13 hours.
And how was that? Was that like the same kind of blacked out? You're just like not sure you're gonna make it, or was that like a
Yeah.
reasonably healthy flight?
I again, not 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 great air travel, but uh, if you can't remember it, I guess it was good.
It worked
Oh,
out.
wait! I do remember something. I'd never had this before in all my traveling. A guy with night terrors.
Oh my gosh. So you're sick. You're on there
I
with
mean,
episode night terrors.
yeah,
This sounds like
there's some
a
dude in the
bad
back.
movie. Uh-huh.
Oh, absolutely. There's some guy about 4 rows behind me. He starts like moaning and yelling during the flight. And like the whole plane is just kind of up and turning around and looking at him. And the guy has been sleeping with a blanket over his head. So there's this dude yelling, "Oh, oh," with the blanket over his head, like he's some kind of like airplane ghost. It was the best. Worst. But anyway, all told, 60 hours from leaving KubeCon to making it home.
Wow, 60 hours, couple missed flights, an illness, and night terrors. Well, I don't know. I mean, if anyone has a better or longer trip to or from KubeCon, please email us or find us in the Slack. I'd like to hear it. So I
I
don't
don't
know.
think there's a hashtag for that. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I hope it was worth it, Matt. I hope KubeCon, and I should say this. I hope the people you met in the booth really appreciate the sacrifice that you made to get there and back. Because that sounds, I get, I've recently just nothing like that. I was just felt a little under the weather for a few days, and I'm working from home at home, so it's like, and I was somewhat miserable. So I don't know, international flights and feeling bad is maybe one of the worst possible things you can encounter. So I'm glad you powered through. And I know, how sick you are when you're just like, I'm not even getting it through the security line. Now, that's going to be like a new measurement. Like I'm going to start using that in the family. Like, are you security line sick, or are you? It's like, are you hurt or are you injured? I'm going to be like, are you sick? Are you getting out of the security line sick? Like that's what I need to know.
Absolutely.
Because that's the difference. Like when you're declaring that, you're like, when someone says I'm security line sick, you walk them to a hotel. That's what I would have done as well. So
because I've taken sick kids through the security line and made it right. I'm like, you keep your mouth shut and you make it through this.
That's
line,
right. You take this Tylenol and let's just push through. Right. You're not you're not injured. You're just hurt. You can play hurt here. I like that. Right. I like that.
Well, it's always like hey, once we're on the plane, there's no turning back. Once we're on the plane, you can keep it together. I've had sick kids on planes. Sorry, fellow travelers, but we had to make it back.
That's right. We had to sacrifice. So, all right. Well, listen, I'm glad you made it back. Sounds like KubeCon was fun. I enjoyed listening to the episode last week. So hopefully everyone you'll be ready and recouped for Chicago, I believe, sometime in November. So you have plenty of that. Now, until then, one of the things that we can talk about is a little bit of a cloud. I don't know if it's the right metaphor to say sick, but earnings have definitely been a little bit lower. So let we start this week and let's recap because all the quote unquote cloud giants reported. So here was the news. So AWS has an $85 billion run rate, growing just quote unquote just 16% year over year. So that was a little bit of a surprise, and I think we'll talk more about that in a second. Azure seems to be the one that we would say, doing better, if you will. $60 billion run rate, growing 31% year over year. Comparison, they grew 38% last year. So they're still down, but still pretty healthy. And it seemed like people were generally, if you will, quote unquote, happy with the Microsoft earnings. And then the big news here from the most positive thing was Google Cloud has a $30 billion run rate, grew 28% year over year. As compared to 32%. But their big news was they turned profitable for the first time. So maybe we should start there. Like that, profitability and inside of all this, it's like, I don't want to overstate it because there's lots of things that have to do with finance. And it isn't like maybe this big milestone as it's made out to be, but it's still important, right? So I think if we're back to like we kind of kid Google, I feel like the industry kids Google, like, are they going to quote unquote end of life Google Cloud?
Well, here's the real question though. They reported, what was it, $186 million profit?
I think something in that neighborhood.
Yeah. But But is that before or after they gave the $340 million bonus to the CEO? Because that'll put them back in the red.
Well, luckily that's okay because that comes out of the big Google advertising budgets.
Okay. Okay.
I don't think they're going to yeah, so
But
it's 191 million is what they made on revenues of 7.45 billion for the quarter. But I think that, I mean, the milestone, if nothing else, is important because I think I know we've been talking for years about this. It's like, well, if you're the CFO and you sort of look at Google advertising and they just make, I don't know, infinite money. Let's just call that. And then you
it's
have YouTube that's doing real well. And then now you always had all this investment in Google Cloud. Well, at least now when they have the meeting, it's like Google Cloud's like, well, I'm making money, right? I'm doing my job. So I think that is a good thing. I don't know. I didn't necessarily doubt that was ever going to happen, but I'm sure that's like a huge milestone internally. And it probably just shows with, and maybe we'll talk about some of the other things that Google's going on in this episode, but more importantly, it just kind of shows that like, hey, while Google is quote unquote, under attack from other areas, it's probably pretty impressive and important to them that GCP grows, right? Because kind of like how Amazon has AWS, I'm sure the people at Google would like to have a really healthy GCP business as well. So I don't know, mission accomplished. I guess Thomas Kurian, he's got to be like, I'm sure talking about getting paid. I'm sure there was some kind of incentive bonus for him to like get this thing profitable and we'll give you tons of money. So he's probably the one that got all the money there for the CEO.
It's like, can we get these numbers? I gotta juice the stock because I'm sure we were approaching that like 2-year window. Just shut it all down.
Well, I think at this point, like, I mean, it's a pretty big business at this point.
I don't know.
Revenue wise. But we'll see. I mean, we say that and it's like anything.
That's what they said about Google Reader.
That's right. It was this in Google Reader. Decades will go by. We're going to still be talking about that. No one's going to know what it is, but still, it's still upsetting to all of us. Now the ones that I think AWS was though is kind of the big news here, and I think the thing that came out of it, I guess the thing that really, if you will, got people talking was that not only did AWS necessarily not have the strongest growth, but they already came out and they said for the first month of the current quarter, they basically said growth was down to like 14%. And so that really, if you will, is kind of, if you will, stunned the market. I don't know, stunn's maybe too overstating it, but really kind of surprised analysts that, everyone is, I think, is hoping that, growth rates return to what they were before. And clearly Amazon's indicating that it isn't going to do that. And so now what you're seeing there is the cascading effect, right? So, Amazon, AWS isn't growing as fast. So that number goes down. So you immediately see, AWS announce layoffs. So we all kind of know, hopefully some of the recent episodes have been, informing, if not entertaining, about if you're not hitting your budget on the revenue side, the company, even though the company's making tons of money, is going to adjust its cost side, which generally means layoffs. So unfortunately, AWS looks like they're going through some specific layoffs, which is, unfortunate for everyone affected. Now, the part I thought was interesting, and I thought the part maybe, Matt, you'd have some unique insight here, was there was a couple kind of thought pieces that came out around, just because AWS's revenue is down doesn't necessarily, mean that the cloud adoption is slowing. And in fact, it probably means that people are getting much better at optimizing their workloads. So I think this is sort of like an interesting way to think of it, as Amazon is now so large that when, or at least AWS is so large that when the, if you will, industries take a step back, it means they're all going to look at, if you will, utilizing their resources a little bit better and maybe slowing things down. And that, of course, is then going to trickle back to AWS. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not doing new projects. It just means they're getting a lot smarter about what they're spending their money on. So I think of that as like using, compute, storage, and network. Now, since you are the man that is kind of, neck deep in this world, like, do you think that's actually true? Or is that what I just told, just a fake story? Are people actually optimizing and actually saving money? Do you think that's a reasonable assumption to make here?
I don't believe that optimization is the cause for this decrease. I think that it is a minor detail. What we tend to see with optimization is people save money and then end up kind of spending more money. They're really just getting more out of the dollar they spend instead of cutting the dollars they spend. And so I think the Silicon Angle article they kind of hit on this, that yes, people talk about cost optimization, but it's the macroeconomic turn, that is more affecting the reduction in growth. It's not like, oh, we've cut so much money that Amazon is starting to notice. It's like Amazon's happy to help you with optimization because it means you're getting more out of your dollar, and you're probably happier with the money you spend with them. And not just Amazon, all the cloud players. I mean, they're, short term, they're like, oh, you spent $1 less this week, but long term, they know that a happy customer is going to stick around more than somebody who feels like, oh, the cloud is ripping us off. We're going to go full DHH and repatriate back to the data center. I don't, yeah, I don't think that's the story.
Yeah, so I think maybe the way to think of it, though, I think, and tell me what you think of this, is like you can kind of pair two things together. It's like, it's not like so much that Amazon's declining; they're still growing at 14%.
Yes.
To your point, it's a combination of people being smarter at what they're doing, so it's maybe a little bit of optimization, and then two, people, our companies rather, just doing less. To your point, they're just not going to do as much, but all of that collectively still, if you will, ends up in growth. It's not like.
Exactly.
And I think sometimes people read this the wrong way. It's like, oh, suddenly, because I'm always cognizant of all these, and we'll talk about one in a second, all these like thought pieces like cloud repatriation, I can't even say, returning from the cloud, all that kind of, I don't know. I always call these like nonsense articles that are going on. And it's like, I think you just have to look at this together. It's like, hey, people are still moving to the cloud, maybe not as quickly or growing as much as they want, but it's still growing, and people are getting smarter about how they use it. And all of that is going to show up in these very large numbers as a slightly slower growth rate. I don't know. Do you buy all that, or is that just, again, me making up a fake narrative?
Well, that's the beauty of these nonsense stories, is like, you can put out a story to explain to people why it's nonsense. You can say like, cost optimization, it's in the news, but is that the real story? Right.
Yeah.
Or is, cloud repatriation, is that the real story? And so you come up with like the topic, and then as the news, the provider of the news, you can say, well, let's spend some cycles like talking about that. And of course, we're going to read it, we're going to discuss it, and right or wrong, at least you're producing content that
that's right, feed the content machine.
That's all it is.
The other point here, I mean, right or wrong, I mean, to some of it, to some degree, it's like what's going on is maybe less important than just like the simple facts are like, hey, these companies aren't growing as quickly as people once thought. So that means it's going to result in lower valuations, which is going to result in these companies investing a little bit less, right? That's with all the layoffs. So kind of for all of us and the audience listening, it just means that like there'll probably be less opportunities to go work at Microsoft, Google, and AWS in the short term, right?
Unless you're doing AI, right?
Yeah, unless you're in one of the hot areas, and there's going to be some recalibration, and also too, you're seeing all of this with AWS. We've talked about the return to the office, and things like that. So you kind of see like it's all kind of pairing together. It's like financial results are down, putting in place kind of a return to the office, if you will, making some changes into the overall staffing. And my guess is like there'll probably be the next year will be a lot of this. So it'll be interesting to look forward to like AWS reInvent and see if that's still the case in November, that's still what's going on, or as Microsoft, because Microsoft had the most upbeat earnings and they put a lot of emphasis on AI. And this is where it's like, I don't know, is it really true AI is driving a lot of this business? I mean, certainly from news.
Or is it SharePoint?
Yeah, I mean, all of us using various versions of ChatGPT is 100% true. Like, I don't know, is that really actually going to end up in more money at Microsoft? I will say though, when I use ChatGPT lately, it's been taking longer to respond. So yeah, something's going on there in the Microsoft servers. They're definitely running a little bit slower. They could, if you will, provision a few more machines to OpenAI for me. I'd appreciate that.
Apparently data centers are running at capacity. So the GPUs are flying off the shelves for, well, not the sorts of GPUs you and I are buying, but a couple times recently, Azure has been running at full capacity. You can't rent GPUs because they're all taken up by ChatGPT.
That's right. They're all taken up. Well, that brings me to the next article. We won't spend a lot of time on this, but like I almost feel like sometimes these pieces from Andreessen Horowitz, they're designed just to irritate me. They're just written to just make me mad. But yeah, so A16Z, they spent 3,000 words in an article that basically says, quote, this is the Chat GPT summary of the article. I'll read it. It says the article suggests that companies should focus on optimizing their cloud usage to achieve cost savings rather than simply trying to repatriate their workloads to on-premises infrastructure. So they've written these articles for years. Now they're writing an article basically saying, don't do that, especially if you're focused in on building AI and GPUs. As if anybody was like, you know what we should do, Matt? You and I are starting some type of AI machine learning startup that let's go out and build 2 or 3 data centers of GPUs. Like, I just think these articles are just stupid. I don't know.
I've
why
got a
they keep
good
writing
lead at
them.
Best Buy, and they're going to get me the 20,000 GPUs that I need.
I don't know. These articles. So I don't know. So this is, again, maybe they're just writing this as clickbait. Maybe it worked because I'm talking about it, but I don't even know what they're doing. I don't even know what their agenda is. I guess is their agenda just to like make sure that their startup companies are thinking about this, that they want to fund startups that want to build out huge data centers. It's just, to me, it's just complete nonsense. And I don't know, stupid. So
how do you really feel, Brandon?
Exactly. The net, I'd say kind of sad for us. I think all of us in the short term, I think, cloud is definitely declining a little bit. In the long term, though, I think the growth.
Wait. That's the key, though. Quit saying declining. Growth is slowing.
Growth is slowing slightly. There's no reason to freak out and start moving all your workloads back. People are still getting a tremendous value out of the cloud. And hopefully people are talking to Matt. They can actually optimize their spend a little bit better. Because I would say that's still a question that comes up on a lot of the calls I have of customers. Like, people are always interested, like, what should we do to save money? That's like after especially once they're there. So I don't know, Matt, you seem like you're in a good position. In fact, I keep predicting, not even predicting, I should say. I just keep wondering, like, all these cloud optimization companies feel like there's going to be some flurry of, acquiring them by the large providers. It just feels like inevitable that's going to happen.
Well, yeah, to be fair, OpenCost, the project I work on, it's just monitoring. What you do with that data is up to you. You don't know how many times I answered that question at the OpenCost kiosk.
So I mean, tell me more. So what are you saying there? So people basically say, what do? You say, I monitor the cost, and then you're just like implying to them that like they should then go figure out
that's
how to do it. Like, what's the, like, finish the sentence for me. Like, what should they do with that data?
Okay, so let's say you're coming to the OpenCost kiosk at KubeCon Chicago, coming up. The first question, and literally I was finishing people's sentences for them. I heard it was like, what's the difference between OpenCost and KubeCost? And the answer is OpenCost is monitoring. Our goal with OpenCost is just to be the most authoritative monitor of your cloud spend for Kubernetes. That's the goal, right? What do you do with monitoring data, Brandon?
well, hopefully you act on it. If it's showing bad results, you make some changes.
Yeah, but that's the host of companies that what you do with that data. There's a lot of things you can do with that data, and so OpenCost, like, hey, we're a CNCF project. We have a very defined vision of we're going to gather up this data, put it in some dashboards, put it in a time series database, and what do you do with that is up to you. That's it. That is our
right. But
job.
The implied pitch, though, right, is like, well, if I want to do something, if I want some, because again, I actually don't want any monitoring data. Like, this would be the old thing. It's I want actionable insights. I don't want a bunch of data. So that's why I would.
Wow. That is the nugget of truth in all monitoring data. Nobody wants monitoring data.
Yeah, nobody wants any of this stuff. That's why they keep reinventing it, and they call it observability. They're like, you don't need all that data. Just see this one thing. So you're obviously making the case, I assume, that you then would refer me to the proprietary product service.
No, I can't do that because I'm working at the OpenCost kiosk.
You won't.
Pavilion on behalf of the
I just have to figure that out. I'm just like, is there anyone else who can help me? And you're like,
it's not
go to the other side of the conference. There's a booth over there. Is that the kind of treatment you give them?
I mean, we were given very clear guidance, like, no sales pitches. So I would answer the questions, and I take my perceived neutrality quite serious. So I was like, hey, here are the vendors who embed OpenCost in their project and their products. Oh, it happens to be there, and yes, I have to be wearing their t-shirt.
Got it. Got it. Got it. I like it. That makes sense though. But that's, but now the thing now in your world, right? I feel like, and this will come up in a second, I think it's like the thing that I want you to commit to, Matt, on behalf of your open source project is like, you're never going to take away the free monitoring data. In this case, the free cost data, right? That's sort of like the implied commitment. Like you and the people behind this project are saying, like, we will always give you the cost monitoring data so you have it. And we're not going to like run out and relicense that and change that. Now, numerous companies can then take the data and do other stuff with it, right? That's not breaking the contract, right? Yeah. I mean, in fact, we expect that. But the contract is explicitly, you're not just going to run in here and like, oh, well, now if I want this data, I have to pay for this license. Like that to me almost should be like, for all the projects, and I'm just kind of using yours as an example, is like, that seems like to be like the first page. Like, this is our commitment. Well, we're not going to take away this data that you like for free and do something else with it. Now, we may offer services beyond that, but we're not going to do that. And I think that's what people almost like, I want that signed in blood by all the open source project owners.
Yeah, you're not going to get that unless it's, the CNCF or Apache Foundation. I mean, unless the project is held by a third party, if it's still run by a company, that's always going to be an option. That, hey, we're not happy with the traction or the direction this open source community is going. We're gonna pivot it. I shared an article that after I shared it, I hadn't realized it was 2 years old. But I had missed Grafana getting relicensed from Apache to AGPL, which doesn't affect most usage of Grafana, but as somebody who is building dashboards and thinking about these things, then you have to say, well, what if I wanted to do this with the product? Well, you can't, or you can, but the AGPL is just it stops a lot of adoption by certain sectors, and so and that's intentional, right? The intention is we want to keep control of this product, and we don't want any commercial competition. And so after I posted that article, I was like, there really should be a pure Apache competitor, and of course there is. Friend of the show, Chris Anizik from CNCF was like, oh, have you heard of Perseus? So there's that monitoring project or dashboard project, which looks fine. I'm going to keep using Grafana for now, but definitely going to keep an eye on both projects. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, as a consumer of open source, you kind of keep those things in the back of your head. If you can't build your product on somebody else's product, because it's.
Well, I think you gave out the secret there, right? And I think we almost need to write all this down to something like software defined talk, open source checklist. First thing is like, if you really love the project and you're going to like embed it, it's like, is it open? Is it owned or licensed by a foundation, right? Is it maintained? Yeah. Because that's sort of like lesson one. And if it isn't, you need to say heavy risk, right? I mean, maybe you still do it, but like, you just got to know that going in. And then two, it's all the other things we know. It's like, how many maintainers does it have? How many people, if you will, heterogeneous is it? Are there people outside of a core company? It's sort of like, just an overall scorecard to like, hey, think about all these things before you get in, you start using this open source project. And especially too, if it's like, oh, it's a small open source project, it's owned by this company, everyone that works on it is at this company, the community is mostly this company. It's like, okay, like you can still do it, but just know you're in a very dangerous area. So,
some red flags.
Buyer beware. Exactly. Red flags. Maybe that's a good post that we're going to have ChatGPT write for us. Open source red flags. And we're going to have that go viral on TikTok. That's going to be our marketing strategy.
Well, and bringing Australia into it, when you go to the rough beach, you swim between the flags.
another fantastic metaphor. So, all right. Well, we'll talk about this briefly. Well, speaking of open source projects, maybe going a different way. There's a lot of drama at MariaDB. I don't know exactly like what's true and what's false, but it sounds like that entire company is going down. But I believe MariaDB.org is good though, right? It's all out there. So I don't know, Matt, like if I still want to use MariaDB, am I safe? Will I still have access to it? Like, what do you think is going to happen there?
Well, so there was an article posted called MariaDB.com is dead. Long live MariaDB.org. And essentially, like the commercial company behind MariaDB, which was formed as a fork of MySQL post Oracle acquisition, or post Sun / Oracle acquisition. Um, you know, the commercial company is having some issues. The
Internal fighting,
oh,
loss of
definitely,
money, not going public, SPAC
yeah,
issues, like you name it, they got it all in there.
kicking out the founder. So the Monty, the original MySQL author, is no longer with MariaDB, the company. Um, and so you got executives lawyering up to sue each other. So assuming everything in here is on the up and up, it says MariaDB.com probably not doing so well, but MariaDB.org is fine. The open source project is still carried by all the Linux distros. They're all happy to continue to ship the software because it's a healthy open source project. Um, Somebody will probably launch. What's I don't know the name of all of Monty's children, but MariaDB was named after his daughter.
Oh, so it'd
So,
be another, it'd be
maybe the next one is the son. Lex. Beginning LexDB, and it'll fork so they can do another consulting company around it. So yeah, it's uh, it is what it is.
all right. Well, listen, all you MariaDB users out there, you should probably take stock of what you're using, and and be careful. I guess be careful out there, as they say. So, all right, Matt. Well, we had to make this one a quick one this week. We had some scheduling difficulties on our side. We will get back to a more regular cadence, hopefully pretty soon. At least that's our goal. We'll see if we actually do it. Now, in the interim, I have got a chance to send out a bunch of stickers. I sent stickers to Andrew in Raleigh, North Carolina. He says they're actually a software-defined talk household, and he told me that his wife is definitely only there for Coté's stream of consciousness humor. So that's fine. We don't care why you listen. If that's what brings you in, especially the tech talk's not what you want, please listen. I also sent some stickers to John in Georgia. On the conference front, we just have one we're going to recommend this week. We have our friends. It's DevOps Days Austin. It's May 4th and 5th. So this will probably come out right as the conference is wrapping up. But hopefully everyone had a good DevOps Days Austin and is enjoying Austin. It's not too hot, so it's a good time to be here. It's always, one of the best conferences of the year, if I can say that myself. And Matt, having said all of that, what is your recommendation this week?
Well, besides the obvious recommendations for airport hotels, my recommendation this week is the O'Reilly book Prometheus Up and Running, 2nd edition. So while at KubeCon, working over in the Project Pavilion, I wandered over to the Prometheus, during a slight lull. I wandered over to the Prometheus kiosk, and I was trying to determine whether I should spring for the new Prometheus book. So I said, hey, does anybody know anything about this Prometheus up and coming book? There's a 2nd edition. I'm kind of cheap. Is it worth, and the Australia, it's not going to get to Australia for like 6 more weeks. The book's out in America. I don't want to wait. Should I just buy the first one or what? And the guy, sitting there, he'd been like looking at his laptop. He slowly raises his eyes and was like, well, as the author, I think you should get the new book.
Really? Really?
Yeah. And I was like, well, I know rudimentary Prometheus, but I want to get better at it. And so I kind of, I told him that. He's like, look, I don't,
you have to buy it at that point, Matt. You can't
well,
just tell the
no,
author.
I was like,
Mhm.
He's like, here, put your name on this list. He hands me a sheet of like email addresses. He sent me the book. So like
Free? He
apparently,
didn't like he
yeah.
like what? See,
I mean,
this is why there's no money in open source or books or anything. Is like that. We need to send him money. We need to find his or if nothing else, Matt, you need to get a link. Is the link already in here? We need to get a link and promote it. Make sure that they get someone needs to buy it. That's unfair. We need to support all these authors. Can't believe you just
I agree.
took the free book.
I was expecting like a 15% off coupon or something, and
Yeah.
he's just like, here's the book. So thank you very much. Julian, for letting me get a copy of the book for free. I'm a few chapters into it. I'm enjoying the read. I highly recommend it, and everyone should go get themselves a copy of Prometheus Up and Running, second edition.
All right, we'll put a link into that, and we get like a discount code or something. Maybe we can promote that as well. Since we're easily bought, you give us a free book, we'll promote your, or give Matt a free book at least. We'll promote it. And actually, Matt, I'm counting on you to read it and summarize it. You can summarize it through ChatGPT for me.
I think the title says it all.
All right, good. All right, well, my recommendation is sort of like I don't know, it's half recommendation, it's half like warning. So, all right, I've talked about YouTube TV, which generally I like. And of course, YouTube TV has taken over the NFL Sunday Ticket. So now I'm down to like 4 other people listening to this podcast care. But here's a little tip. They have come out and they're selling the discounted subscription. So if you get it before June 6th. But here's the catch. There's always a catch, Matt. They have now announced that they're only going to let you stream 2 additional games. So the old NFL Sunday Ticket is just as many games as you could possibly watch at once in your house. They would let you do it. Somehow YouTube TV has made, I don't know, just the worst decision of all time. Now, what they've done to compound that is they say you can also get this special channel called the Red Zone channel. So they basically want to sell you this bundle, but they don't tell you that is going to count as one of your streams. Now, to make it more confusing, YouTube sells another package that has that stream in it for free. So this is what you want to do. You buy the NFL Sunday Ticket. Don't buy the one with the Red Zone. Just buy the Sunday Ticket. Then you buy the other package with the Red Zone, and you can get 3 streams at once. So you can watch all your NFL football. And I must say, I just am tremendously disappointed in YouTube TV. They have just taken something. It's kind of like we were talking about before. They have taken something that was hard to use with DirecTV, but it gave you everything you wanted, right? It's sort of like an open source project. Maybe it's hard to use, but I got everything I wanted. But I'm even going to call it out. Look, the vice president of product management, I think his name is Chris Oslian. Right, comes out. He has this long blog post about all these things that don't matter, how they're going to offer like advertising in NFL Sunday Ticket. But like, you know what people want when they want to buy the NFL Sunday Ticket? They want to watch as much football as humanly possible. That's what we're trying to do. And what has YouTube done? They've come out and limited it immediately. So massively disappointed in them. I think there'll be a ton of backlash. Hopefully they'll come around to it and, offer some better package. But until then, if you are looking to buy it, I'd highly recommend it because they don't make it obvious that you're basically going to have to pay twice to get what you want, which is fine. I'm happy to give them more money, but they make it really complicated to do it. So YouTube, you need to do much better. Very disappointed. Me, as I become a YouTube household, as everyone in my household is watching some version of YouTube, we need you to do better. So Chris Oslian, get it done. Figure it out. Get it down. And you're having to come on the show, and I will talk to you at length about why all the mistakes you're making. So
don't take the bait.
That's right. So that said, as always, if you would like a sticker, please send your postal address to stickers@softwaredefinedtalk.com. It's summertime, so it's best to get them to put on, I don't know, tumblers, things you take to the pool that you're going to lose, just bikes, whatever. And of course, laptops. So if you need extra stickers, I've enjoyed emailing, or rather postal mailing stickers all around the world for all kinds of reasons. People tell me all the time they're doing something unique with them, and I love it. So send in more requests. I'll be happy to send you stickers. And with that, we'll talk to you next time.
Bye-bye.
All right. Well, it was quick, but hopefully it was powerful. I don't know. We'll see. So, all right, Matt, I appreciate you getting up. Hopefully Coté is okay. And I don't know. It's like if one of you doesn't show up, we can obviously make it better for either you or Coté. So I don't know. You two can fight it out in Slack. Like, I'm happy to like adjust either way. I just know it's difficult at this time of year. So whatever you want to do is fine with me.
I'm not blinking.
Okay. All right.
I can do 6 a.m.
All right. Well, it's up to Coté if he can do it or not. So, all right, man. Have a good one. We'll talk to you later.
Later. Bye.